Georgia quarterback Carson Beck is coming back for the 2024 season. Now, are the Bulldogs the preseason favorite in 2024 to win a national championship with Carson Beck coming back? That's what we're going to talk about. And I think there's a real reason why you could say, yeah, Georgia could be the team to beat next year. Of course, we don't know who's going to win the national championship this year. And I will say that Georgia's three toughest games next year in 2024, at Alabama, at Texas, at Ole Miss, all three of those teams have their quarterback coming back next year. Jackson Dart's coming back to Ole Miss. Jalen Milroe's coming back to Alabama. Quinn Ewers coming back to Texas. It is going to be a difficult season next year for the Dogs and basically everyone in college football. But Georgia had to have Carson Beck come back. I don't know what they told him, how they figured this out, how they got him to come back. Maybe it's because he thinks he could be the number one quarterback in next year's draft. Maybe he is looking around saying, you know what? We've got the pieces to go back and win another championship. Whatever it is, it worked, and that is absolutely huge for the Georgia Bulldogs. As much as I like Gunnar Stockton, asking Gunnar Stockton to play, against the Clemson Tigers to start the year off, 2 weeks later play at Kentucky and Lexington, which I got to remind everyone, I feel like that's a tough place to play. Kentucky's Kentucky, and maybe they never beat Georgia ever again. They haven't beat the Dogs since 2009, but still, going to Lexington is never easy. That is a tough, hard-fought battle, and one where you need a quarterback to know what he's doing. If you make mistakes against Kentucky, that's when you start falling into a trap. But you don't want Gunnar Stockton playing at Tuscaloosa, at Alabama. Auburn is Auburn. They always play consistent defense. They should be able to beat Mississippi State next year with Ryan Puglisi, the freshman. That's how bad I think Mississippi State could be. But you don't want Gunnar Stockton out there at Austin against Texas. Then you have Florida, on the road at Ole Miss, Tennessee, UMass, Georgia Tech. If Georgia wants to win a national championship next year, they had to have Carson Beck come back or scramble and get a guy out of the portal if he were to announce for the NFL draft. But I'm not sure if Georgia's the favorite, but you can make the argument. You can make the case, and a lot of it depends on the guys who might come back, right? Tate Ratledge might come back next year. I think Amarius Mims is gone at right tackle. You're going to have to replace your center, but you still have Dylan Fairchild, Micah Morris, Ernest Green. You still got some pieces on the offensive line, and I think that group is going to be really good next year. I think Kendall Milton is gone. I guess he has another year of eligibility. I feel like everyone still does, but I think he and Dejan Edwards are gone, so you got to replace some production at running back. Maybe they go get Trevor Etienne, who's in the portal from Florida. I think that's a real possibility. Brock Bowers is gone. Got to replace that. Oscar Delp is really good. Lawson Lucky, Pierce Spurlin, Jaden Riddell. They've got some playmakers at tight end. And then at receiver, maybe Ladd McConkey comes back. I'm not saying he's 100% gone, but that would be huge. That would be so huge for this offense. Marcus Rosemy-Jackson, I believe he's a senior. I don't think he's got any eligibility left. If he does, he's likely to return, right? I don't think that guy's getting drafted in the 3-4 rounds, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Good player. I don't know if he's dropping any jaws from the NFL GMs, though. Rod Thomas was a junior. It looks like he's coming back. Dominic Lovett, I guess, is expected to come back. None of those guys have made a decision. They're not hitting the portal again. They haven't announced for the draft. Carson's going to have some weapons, and the more you look into this, the more you're thinking, okay, the pieces might be there. Losing Brock Bowers is probably the biggest deal, and Cedric Van Pran at center. And you've got, the running back room is going to be a little different. Got to stay healthy, but at the end of the day, job number one for Kirby Smart and the staff was to make sure Carson comes back next year, and they got it. Check, right? This guy's not a poet. Dylan Raiola's a poet. Carson Beck's a quarterback, and he's going to be one of the best in college football next year. But there's a lot of them coming back. I think Alabama's going to be better with Jalen Milroe coming back. He's not the quarterback that Carson Beck is. I know a lot of people are going to say that's crazy. Alabama just beat Georgia. Jalen Milroe made some big throws in that game. Yeah, he did. He also had some help from the Zebras, right? The officials, at least on that 1 4th down. That was an incompletion. That was just handed to him. Here you go, Alabama. Here's a free possession. They end up scoring a touchdown, I believe, on the drive. Doesn't matter. Anyway, Carson Beck is a better quarterback. Jalen Milroe is a better athlete. Quinn Ewers continues to get better. He's not Trevor Lawrence. This guy was supposed to be Trevor Lawrence, right? One of the best quarterbacks in high school coming out in years, right? Generational talent. He's good. I don't think he's great. He should be better next year. It's going to be tough. But if Georgia wants to go on the road and beat Alabama and beat Tuscaloosa and beat Ole Miss, who's loading up, the Rebels will be better next year. They were good this year. They were top 10 when Georgia just spanked them up and down the field in Athens, just bullied them, took their face, threw it in the dirt, and rubbed it in it. That was a good Ole Miss team that they just kicked around. Next year in Oxford, it's going to be a little different with their quarterback coming back, their receiver coming back. They got Juice Wells from South Carolina. They got two really good wide receivers. The running back's coming back. Looks like they might land Walter Nolan, a former 5-star, top 3 player in the country out of high school. He's a big deal. They got to fix that defense, but Carson Beck leading the Dogs will give them an opportunity to put up points on the board in these tough road environments. Because that's what he's going to see. The experience that he had going to Auburn, especially that hostile road environment at Tennessee too, that's going to help him next year. And if he does have Tate Ratledge coming back and Ernest Green continues to improve at left tackle, you've got 2 experienced guards, Micah Morris, Dylan Fairchild coming back. And someone's got to take over at center. I don't know who that might be right now, but they can get that squared away, and whoever wins that job brings anything close to what Cedric Van Pram brought. I think they could be in for a really special season. I'd feel a little better if Jalen Milroe were to have left. I mean, no one's picking him in the draft. Jalen Milroe entered the draft. I don't think anyone's looking at him, right? Seriously, legitimately like, oh, this guy, we're going to put our franchise in his hands. No. Every NFL GM would say, give me Carson Beck before give me Jalen Milroe. Give me Carson Beck before Jackson Dart. Maybe give me Carson Beck before Quinn Ewers. So as big of names as those guys are, and as well as they played for most of this year, Carson Beck's going to go into next season as one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and he's got weapons. And if they can continue to get that running game going, maybe bring in that transfer, get a healthy Branson Robinson, that group could be a little better than people think. But with that tough schedule, Georgia's going to lose. My guess is 2, which would not be. If they only lose 2 games in the regular season next year, that means they beat some good teams. They probably beat Ole Miss on the road. They probably beat Clemson in Atlanta. They beat Auburn. They beat Tennessee, beat Kentucky on the road. Those are quality wins. The Gators are going to stink. They're going to stink so bad. I can smell them from here. They're going to be awful next year. Georgia's going to boat race them. But if they lose to Alabama, lose to Texas, they're still in the 12-team playoff. And then I think whoever wins the national championship next year, it's all about health. Everyone's going to, I think the national champion, or the 2 teams who play for a national championship next year will play 17 games. That's a lot. And as we've seen this year, through 12 games, Georgia got beat up throughout the season. Started to get a little healthy coming back towards the end, but their best player, Brock Bowers, was not 100% in the biggest game. Neither was Ladd McConkey. They fought so hard, but you could tell they weren't healthy. Next year, it might not be the best team. It's the healthiest best team that wins it all next year. And so if you're Georgia, get through, win some of those winnable games, maybe beat Alabama on the road, maybe beat Texas on the road. I could see them winning one of those games with Carson Beck, a veteran, experienced quarterback who's really good. He's got an arm, and he showed it this year. He can make some big-time throws. He's got a laser, and he's smart, and he's efficient, and he didn't turn the ball over a ton. And even there were, I think, half of his interceptions just didn't even matter. They were either before the half or just something weird happened. They're going to be really good next year with Carson Beck coming back. That's the biggest news of the week, no matter what happens on National Signing Day tomorrow. This outweighs Dylan Raiola flipping to Nebraska by a mile. Carson Beck has now put Georgia back in the conversation as one of the legit contenders for the 2024 National Championship. Massive, massive news, but one that Dawg Post members knew about. We've been saying on Dawg Post for a while, and you can sign up to our free newsletter. That link is down below. You can read everything we have over on Dawg Post. But we told our readers, hey, Brock Vandagriff's not transferring for no reason. He kind of knows Carson's coming back. Dylan Raiola knew that Carson was coming back. And as talented and confident as that young man is, he knew, I'm not beating this guy. I'm not beating this guy out. I'm good, but I'm not playing next year. Got to go to Nebraska. Maybe he plays as a freshman. Maybe he takes them to a 12-team playoff his junior year. It's not going to be anytime soon. But Carson Beck coming back is massive, massive, massive. We'll see if any of his other weapons come back. That would be even better for Carson in this offense. But They needed him back if they're going to go on the road and win several of these games that they've got next year. And now they have the quarterback to do it. It's a big deal, no doubt about it. And I think that Georgia has a real shot at winning it all next year with Carson Beck. Thanks for watching this video. As always, sign up to our free newsletter. That link is down below. Head over to Dawg Post to read everything we've got going on. Big week. I mean, still college football season. The portal, recruiting, bowl prep. Still a lot to talk about. We appreciate y'all watching, and I hope to see you over on the website.